Happy Victory Monday, Ravens fans. Welcome into Ravens Rundown. I want you to get in that comment section, get on your feet, get excited, because your Baltimore Ravens are 3-1 to begin the 2023 season. Spam W in that comment section. Want to see at least 200 W's in the comment section today to celebrate that Ravens win, and we'll get started with today's show. Overreaction Monday, the 5 overreactions across the internet where we tell you if they were overreactions or not. Let's start with Lamar for MVP. Not an overreaction. Lamar Jackson was Lamarvelous yesterday in his performance. And what we've seen so far to begin this season is Lamar Jackson is in complete command of this Ravens offense. Todd Monken has done a really good job putting it in place to suit Lamar Jackson and play to his strengths. Now, there is one thing that does need to be said, does need to be taken care of, that has lingered the last couple of weeks, and that comes down to fumbling and taking care of the football. Lamar Jackson hasn't done a good job of that when it comes to protecting the ball fumbling-wise. But other than that, he's been extremely accurate. And yesterday, he made some key plays. Going 15 of 19 through the air, 186 yards, 4 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson was fantastic, both passing and rushing. And what we're seeing with Lamar is that he's doing everything, right? That he's effective in every phase of the game. You look at his statistics for the season right now, completion percentage of over 74%, nearly 800 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Very good numbers through the air to this point. And then the rushing numbers are some of the best in the National Football League as well, with 220 rushing yards, 5.4 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns off of 41 carries. Lamar is doing it all right now and has to be considered one of the MVP candidates, I think, as far as this season goes with those 8 touchdowns he's had at this point. What do you think? Can Lamar become a 2-time MVP? Our pinned comment today, type HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Let us know what you think, if Lamar could be the MVP or not. Number 2 on Overreaction Monday, the worst is behind the Ravens. That, my friends, is a bit of an overreaction. Let me explain why. You look at where the Baltimore Ravens are at right now, 3-1. Things seem to be pretty good. A good response after that loss to the Indianapolis Colts last week. But the injury list for this team is still very lengthy. And the goal for the Ravens right now with all these injuries is kind of just getting by week. And so to sit here and say for certain that, hey, you know what, they've moved on, everything is okay, is just unrealistic. The truth of the matter is that the Ravens have played backup quarterbacks against backup quarterbacks the last couple of weeks. They're going to do so again next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Although things are good at 3-1, I still feel like we don't know a ton of who the Ravens are at this point. Have they really been tested? More on that coming up later. But let's look at the injury report. This was just from this past weekend's game against Cleveland. Morgan Moses with a shoulder injury. Daryl Worley with a shoulder injury. Arthur Maulet left the game with a concussion. That adds to a long list of injuries that were already there for Baltimore. Ronnie Stanley was out. Odell Beckham was out. Rashad Bateman, Odafe Owe, all those guys did not play with the injuries that they had suffered prior to this game against Cleveland. Meanwhile, you got David Ojabo on IR, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams. That's a lot of starters, a lot of guys that you depend on that aren't available. And eventually, these type of things catch up to you. So I would say it's just unrealistic to think that everything's okay after one win against I would call bad Cleveland Browns team who didn't have their starting quarterback. Things feel good at 3-1, but let's not act like everything is perfect, everything's going to be okay, because eventually these injuries can catch up to you. Today's edition of Ravens Rundown is presented by Prize Picks. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this football season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you could turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is a really simple-to-play app. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. With the Power Play payout, I have the chance to turn tonight $20 into $60 as I'm going with more yards for Geno Smith and less yards for Daniel Jones on Prize Picks this evening. If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS, they will match your first deposit up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, moving on now. Let's talk defense. Patrick Queen staying long-term. I don't think that is an overreaction. I think there's a very good chance that the Ravens find a way to keep Patrick Queen long-term. We know about what happened this offseason of him being very upset, making it vocal that he didn't like them drafting Trenton Simpson and wanting the contract and ultimately not getting the contract, and the Ravens not giving him his fifth-year option and all that. But we've moved past all that, right? You fast forward to where we are here in the month of October, and Patrick Queen's not causing any drama. He's saying all the right things, and he's playing at an extremely high level right now. It's hard to imagine this Baltimore Ravens defense without Patrick Queen. And basically this calendar year between when the Ravens added Roquan Smith to now, Patrick Queen has been a totally different football player, and we've seen him elevate his game playing alongside one of the league's best. Yesterday was no exception. 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack. Patrick Queen was arguably the best player on this Ravens defense yesterday. And so far this season, Queen's had a very good year with 36 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. Watch out. I think Patrick Queen is here to stay for the long haul. We'll see how they can work it out contract-wise, but based on the way things are going right now, Patrick Queen is making the case that he needs to make to Eric Acosta and John Harbaugh that he deserves to stay in Baltimore long term. Will the Ravens extend Patrick Queen? I think so right now. What do you guys think? Y for yes, in for no. They could have traded him a long time ago if they didn't want to keep him around. I'm starting to think that they're going to get this done sooner than later. Weigh in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Y for yes, in for no on Patrick Queen. Now we continue on Overreaction Monday, back on offense with Mark Andrews, and he is back. Mandrews is in full force with this Baltimore Ravens offense, and I believe this is here to stay. What we saw from Mark Andrews on Sunday, I really liked, and that version of Mark Andrews, when he's at full strength, he's unstoppable, and he's Lamar's top target when he's all healthy and everything's there. And we saw yesterday how good Mark Andrews can be when everything is clicking on the same level. He can play arguably as good as any tight end in football. And yesterday was no exception. 5 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mandrews was just unbelievable. And so far this season, you look at the numbers, 14 catches, 160 yards, over 11 yards of reception, and 3 touchdowns. Really, yesterday was kind of his breakthrough performance of sorts. Now, I expect Mark Andrews to keep this going, keep the momentum this direction, that any health issues or anything that was going on, or he can move past from, and that he'll be ready to go full forward the rest of the way this season. You'll see him fit in naturally well with this Todd Monken offense going forward that really likes to use multiple tight ends. More of Mark Andrews, like we saw yesterday, is here to come for this Ravens team going forward. For more Ravens coverage, we are going to be with you all season long right here on Ravens Rundown. We had a great time at our watch party yesterday. We got another watch party coming up this weekend here on the channel as well. We're also doing our daily news and rumors segments. We got our mailbags, breaking news, live shows, and more. Sub for Dubs. Can't think of a better way to celebrate that Ravens win than by subscribing to Ravens Rundown. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. Absolutely 100% free. Subscribe now for the best Ravens coverage around. It's right here on Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. Subscribe now for free. Last in Overreaction Monday. The defense fixed. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. That is an overreaction, and let me explain why. The defense looked fantastic. No question about it. They allowed a total of about 166 yards, which was the 10th least amount of yards that we've seen from any John Harbaugh coach team ever since he's been in Baltimore. But the thing that I need to see more of is the fact that they really haven't been that tested just yet. Think about it. Their toughest competition was the Cincinnati Bengals going up against a banged-up Joe Burrow, who clearly was off, was not the same quarterback that he typically is. So with that said, are the Ravens playing well? Yes, they are. I think two things can be true at the same time. That the Ravens look fantastic, and the numbers all back that up how well they've played. But before I start to buy in with all the injuries they've dealt with, and with the secondary, of course, just getting banged up, and there was questions going into this year about how the pass rush would look and all that. Before I'm fully convinced, I think it's fair to say that we still need to see how they really do against some upper echelon competition. So far, they're doing what they need to do, but it's going to get tougher down the road. You look ahead to this week, you play the Steelers, who are likely going to be without Kenny Pickett. So that should be a situation where you take care of business. But Tennessee still has Derrick Henry for now. The Lions have a prolific offense. They've done a really good job with Jared Goff and those weapons that are there in Detroit. That'll be a test. The Arizona Cardinals, not a very good football team. And then the Seattle Seahawks are a terrific offense with Geno Smith and who you're going to see tonight on Monday Night Football, JSN, DK, Tagovailoa, and all those guys. So we're going to find out more pretty quickly if this Ravens defense is legit or not, but I still need to see more to see if they are what we typically think of those Ravens defenses of old. If they're really one of those, they belong in that echelon. So those are our overreactions here on Overreaction Monday. What about you? Get bold in that comment section and give me your biggest overreaction to the Ravens win over the Browns. Chime in. Tell us what it is in the comment section. We'll see you next time right here on Ravens Rundown.